mRNA coming through with the trickery. Let's go ahead and find out exactly what I mean by that in this video. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with an mRNA technicals, raw price action, and statistical thread of analysis on this second day of the new year 2023. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCab. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, so we're looking at the 5-day period here. Okay, so we are looking at a massive right-angled ascending broadening wedge, okay, or a right-angled broadening wedge in this case, since we do have the downside on the bottom trend line and we do have an upside on the top trend line. Okay, so this is a very rare pattern. I've actually I've only traded a pattern like this one time, and I've actually never traded it on a large scale like this. Okay, so the horrible part about this particular formation is that it does have two price objectives. Okay, so the price objective is one towards the downside and one towards the upside per the playbook rules, right? So it's not like a descending broadening wedge where the descending broadening wedge has an implied projected target towards the upside and the ascending broadening wedge is towards the downside. So this one being a symmetrical wedge actually would have the target towards the upside and the target towards the downside. And the way you can actually acquire that target is by taking a trend line from the supposed place of breakout. Okay, so if your breakout were to happen here, then you would actually take the trend line from the top to the bottom and then you apply it to the upside, giving you that target, or inversely to the downside. Okay, so as you can see, if we take it and we imply a breakout, say for example on the week of the 10th, right, for January, we can actually see a downside target of about 56.49, and it's very much in confluence with all of this price action during a few months of 2020, starting from about let's see, May 19th, 2020, all the way to about September 3rd, 2020. Okay, so that's it. It does share a lot of confluence there. Now, if we were to imply this target towards the upside, we can actually see some very interesting targets there too, as it actually takes us to the MRNA all-time high, which is near the 497.49 range. Okay, in this case, we can actually see it reach the price objective. Of course, we can see it reach at about 438.41. Okay, so there's a lot of trickery here, but I don't think that this formation is done. I think that it actually still has more. I think it has more time. Okay, now I'm saying more time is because I still see an upside move coming in before a downside move. Okay, so if we do face a downside move, that would be very bad. Okay, so but I am looking at an upside move in the shorter term time frame. Okay, so let's go ahead and validate how that's possible. First of all, I need to tell you that I actually ran two statistical back tests on this because it's so tricky. Okay, first of all, I ran a larger term time frame. This is the bi-daily chart, so I actually ran momentum versus volatility back test in the 2-day chart, okay, for more of a macro perspective, so that I can see if this is actually prepping for a downside first or an upside. Okay, so in this case, let's go over the downside thesis first, but as I do believe this is actually going to happen after the upside. Okay, so out of a total 13 total iterations for the mRNA asset particular to the 2-day chart, we're looking at 6 guessed correctly towards the downside. Okay, out of 7. So that gives us an average downside accuracy of 46.153% with an average downside pressure of minus 20.155% over the span of just about 18 days. It came in pretty precise at that 18-day mark. This is the proof of work here. Okay, so, and why I'm saying this, and I'm giving you this metric now is because on the 2-day time frame, it is a larger term time frame, so that's good, but the signal is actually fired, and the expansion phase in volatility has started, and it has moved now above the 15 percentile, which is this neon green line. Whenever we're down here, I consider this to be extreme volatility, okay? As well, inversely to the upside, okay? Above the 90 percentile would be critical expansion. Below below the 15th percentile would be critical contraction. Okay, so in this case, you can see that we actually touched down right into critical contraction and then started our expansion phase to the upside, making a downside continuation with momentum. Okay, so now momentum has actually given me a read of about 75 to 91% in accuracy for guessing the asset's direction. Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's very good to consider for our probabilities, and you can see that it's directly pitched to the downside on the bi-daily chart in particular. Okay, so this is signaling a continuation to the downside overall. Okay, so now if we can hone in into a closer time frame, this is the back test that I performed on the 8-hour chart. Okay, so remember, the last test was on the bi-hourly chart. This one is on the 8-hour chart. Okay, so now it's also particular to volatility versus momentum. Okay, so now if I didn't say it in the prior iteration, volatility is actually this indicator. I'm sorry, it's a BBWP. That's giving us the volatility read. Okay, so now volatility is direction neutral, which is why I pair it with a stochastic momentum indicator. It is proprietary to TradingView software, and it actually helps giving us that bias for direction. So now if we focus in on the 8-hour chart, we can actually see that I've actually this is all done by hand. Okay, so I did this, I finalized it today, but I have been looking at it for days and trying to figure out this chart because this is really tough. Okay, so for the MRNA asset in the 8-hour chart, okay, throughout the entire trading history, I noticed 34 iterations, of which 26 were guessed correctly to the upside. Okay, and that gives us an averaged upside accuracy of 76.47% with an averaged upside thrust of 21.98% over the span of almost 11 days. Okay, and this is proof of work yet again. So the reason why I said this is because looking at price action in the shorter term time frames to the upper term time frames, I could maybe see an upside coming in. Okay, and I'm talking about like this, so I can see that there is kind of a structure happening here, but we may face resistance right at this at the formation top. Now let's go ahead and imply that upside. Okay, first, because I do see the upside happening faster, obviously because we're on the 8-hour chart and the other one was on the 2-day. So for a shorter term time frame, 21.98 or 22% to the upside. Let's go ahead and just measure that from this chart. Okay, so let's see. We'll go ahead and imply if it were the next 5-day candle read. So let's take this metric here and now measure it. Okay, so 22%. Let's see, 21.88 is okay. So it actually takes us right to the top, just like we were talking about, to the resistance of this formation itself. So there is that strong possibility as well. I'm not sure that I can actually get it from whatever this candle has. Yeah, it's not enough. It's too new of a candle is what I'm trying to say. So let me see if I can actually take it from the other candle. Okay, so for the other candle, yeah, our target right now is suggesting 212.89, and if we were to see if we have a range of resistance, 212.89 to the 272 at 223.18 would be our essentially the take profit before a capitulation to the downside. Okay, so that's it's very important to know that this is our resistance range here. So it would be between the 217.32 and 223.15 on that upside move. Okay, so there's a few things going against us. Not only the fact that we have the resistance of the formation itself, but we also have the SMA 100, the 100-day simple moving average as well. Okay, I mean, we have the knot 618 down here at 198.43, which could likely be an area of like a stop before we come back down and test the knot 382 at 189.51 before continuing onto the upside. Please remember it's a 5-day chart, so this is likely to take some time, but remember that the statistics are suggesting within about a 10.88 day average. Okay, so now particular to the downside, we have a minus 20.15 read. Okay, so let's go ahead and now imply that from here, as I do believe that this upside may happen before the downside. So if we're looking at a minus 20% read, let's see. did I say what was it again? Minus 20.15. Okay, so that should be close enough. So it actually takes us to, I mean, literally the resistance of all these candles, and now reclaiming this demand zone. Okay, so that's, I mean, it would literally go up and then lose everything that it gained. Okay, so we definitely have to watch out for this, but this could be an area for short positions to open. Okay, so definitely keep an eye out for MRNA, as it is making some trickery happen. Okay, so now my upside thesis still remains as the first move, and the reason why I'm saying this is because now if we're looking at the divergence chart on the 12-hour time frame, we can actually see that we're building some forms of hidden bullish divergence. In this case, hidden bullish divergence usually happens when momentum is making a lower low and price action is making higher lows. Okay, so divergence is the opposition of price action versus momentum, and momentum in this case represented by the RSI indicator, relative strength index. Okay, so yeah, we can see several drives already accumulating here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 drives of that bullish divergence, which is very good. I mean, I would like for this to be pitched up, you know, a little more aggressively, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and now open up a multiplane to finish up this analysis. Okay, so please focus in on these zones here. I've made this diagram so that you can see the particular zones that I'm going to be speaking of regularly. Okay, so we're going to load up first a 30-minute. We're going to look at the bi-hourly, 6-hour, and daily, since we have already seen the 12-hour divergence, okay? So 30 minutes suggesting immediate upside continuation. And as you can see, the placement of the RSI signal line, the purple line, is above the 14-day moving average, which is a simple moving average represented by this pink line. It's now pivoted towards the upside, and we have crossed very much above that moving average, and we're approaching the deep areas of the bull weakness percentile. So when we're here in this deep area, we can actually expect the pull right into bull strength percentile. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the bi-hourly. Bi-hourly still suggesting pretty aggressive upside as well. Okay, so let's see, the moving average is below us, pivoted towards the upside as well, or correcting. We have now crossed into bear weakness, but please remember that as long as we do remain within this deep area of the bear weakness percentile, we are likely to come back down. But the good thing is that we do have this moving average below us, which can be used in the immediate short-term time frame as a support before continuing on to the upside. Okay, now the 6-hour time frame is suggesting upside continuation as well. Please notice that the 14-day moving average is suggesting still some downside and can be used as a form of resistance, similar to this area here. It doesn't mean that we can't pierce through it and then reclaim it. Okay, and now particular to the time frame on the daily, okay, notice how the strength is changing a bit. Notice how it's not so pivoted towards the upside and more sure like the smaller term time frames. Okay, this is now the good thing is that we are in the very shallow areas of the bear weakness percentile. So when we're in these shallow areas, we can actually expect that pull, or that gravitational pull, right into the bull weakness percentile. Okay, so this is suggesting limited upside and weakening. Okay, so now let's just let's just take a look at the bi-daily, see if it's the same. Yeah, it's suggesting actually even flatter of a signal. So that's sideways trading on the 2-day. Let's see, 3-day is also very flat. 5-day flat. Here we go. Okay, so the weekly is giving us that downside. So this is the reason why the weekly has this downside is why I'm honoring the upside first, then the downside. Okay, so I do expect this to happen over multiple days, but for sure, shortly in the shorter term time frame, I can definitely see MRNA making a slow move towards the upside right up here. Okay, maybe even over the next few sessions, and then facing a massive rejection from this area here down and literally below from what it has gained. Okay, definitely watch out with this ticker. Okay, you guys, I think this is a pretty good place for me to leave off. Know that I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment. Okay, I need you to do your own DD and everything will be just fine. Okay, you guys, if you are interested in looking at these Crypstex indicators, for example, this DBSI, which is giving us a bull strength of 67% over the bears at 33%, which is adding towards the bias towards the upside, please reach out to me and I will go over the subscription packages with you for the 8 indicators that Crypstex does have to offer. Okay, you guys. So I'll make sure to leave those links in the description below. Also, even if you want to just say hi to me on Twitter or join the Discord, it's called ARCa, okay? But with that said, I wish you well, a very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.